Hello, welcome to Sarcastic Remarks, episode 4005. My name is Ryan. To my right is Chris. To my left is James. We are sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use that promo code THPN next time you are there. Hey, gentlemen, how are y'all doing tonight?
Fantastic. I'm tired. It's Wednesday.
We always do this on Wednesday, though. And you're tired just this specific Wednesday, or are you always this tired?
No, just this specific Wednesday. Not exactly sure why, but I was in. So I have. Listen to this. I have an evening class, and it's a leadership class. And if you've been to college, you know what leadership class is. It's a talk about your feelings class / professor tells you stories class. And boy, did my professor go on a tangent this evening. Nearly put me right to sleep in one of the least comfortable chairs I've ever sat in. So yeah, I'm tired now.
So it wasn't an interesting story at all. Not at all.
It might have been interesting. He doesn't know.
Moderately interesting. There you go, James. That's a fair
Good point, James. Good point. All right, guys. Well, James, how have you been? What you been up to?
I haven't been doing much. I mean, just still driving around, you know. I enjoy driving a lot still.
Doing your thing.
It's fun. Doing my
Listen to podcasts, right?
Okay. Yeah, listening to podcasts and being not sick anymore. That is a very good thing.
Yep. Yeah, you sound and look a million times better than you did on Monday. So glad that you're doing okay. Well, anyways, guys, we got a lot to talk about. We could have gone on tangents on some of these after game reviews with how well the Stars have been playing. Just a recap of this week with the three games, you guys. The Stars are 3-0-0.
3-0, baby.
This is the first time in Dallas Stars history that a Stars head coach has led his team to 3 straight wins, which it was a little surprising.
In his first year.
In his first year, I should say. Yes, that's true. Yeah. Which it still is a little surprising to me, considering we've had a decent amount of coaches over the past, decade or so.
Some good teams.
Yeah, and we have had some good teams, including like the 2008 team that went into the Western Conference Final, the 2020 bubble team that went to the Stanley Cup Final, and several playoff teams that actually went fairly deep. So that was a little stat that I was a little surprised to hear about after that game against Winnipeg. So Bonus, I believe, was behind the bench tonight. Was he behind the bench? Was he back from COVID? I can't remember. Anyways, the Jets did win their game tonight, so the Stars have some credibility with their wins. I know it's just Nashville and Winnipeg, but still, Stars fans are very high and very excited. What has your thoughts been overall with the 2 wins against Nashville this week and also the win against the Jets?
I mean, it's just a totally different team than last year. And I know we talked about that all offseason. We're like, oh, this team's going to be totally different. It's going to be totally different. But I was thinking it might take a few games, right? Maybe it'll take a few games. No, it's perfect. DeBoer knew exactly what he was doing. We talked about how people had showed up early for training camp, even throughout the summer. There was a lot of people there before training camp even started. Everyone was on page. Everyone, it looks like, has fully bought in and is just ready to go. And it looks great so far. There's still mistakes. We like to get the passing better out of the defensive zone, but there's also just been these adjustments that are made in game that have just been perfect and have just swung right in our direction. And we've been the better team through 9 periods, in my opinion.
It's been really fun to watch too. I mean, where the main flip is between dumping it in and playing with the puck going on the rush. Mm-hmm. And that's where we're scoring most of our goals is on that rush. So
the forecheck is also pretty different. It's changed from the trap to a 1-2-2, which is more common on a forecheck. So that's been much better too. It creates more offensive pressure even while you're protecting a lead.
And we're gonna get all into that here tonight. We could jump down so many rabbit holes, but we're gonna try and keep it as brief as we can.
Guide us down the rabbit holes individually.
Okay, well, first off, we got to mention the surprise of the season right now, which is not the Stars, actually. Many people thought the Stars were not going to be as good as they have been, but the bigger surprise has been the Philadelphia Flyers. They lose tonight, but they only lose by 1 goal to the Florida Panthers, so that's okay to be losing that game. and they're 3-1 on the season with John Tortorella at the backbone of all of that. Gritty, I'm sure somewhere is like dancing awkwardly,
and staring.
and staring. It's just like all of those Philadelphia mascots. I don't know what it is about the Philadelphia mascots, but anyway, what have you heard or what have you seen or what can you comment about
they're
that
obviously
situation?
Going to win the President's Trophy is my expert analysis. So they're just the best team in the league.
Yeah.
So
for me personally, honestly, they're a team that's really already fighting for these games. They just look like the more aggressive team in most of these games. They got something to prove, and they're trying to prove it.
And a Tortorella coach team probably would be the team that I would guess that would be most ready to go to start the season, or else he would be on their behinds.
Right. And we talked about it at length in past episodes that John Tortorella basically said, there is an issue with this room. There's an issue in the locker room with the guys. There's a power struggle, something. I don't know. There was a lot of stuff that he was very vocal about with these players. And Philadelphia basically came and said, you better show up for training camp, meaning like you're going to get put through like hell. It's going to be terrible. And
Tortorella was vocal? That's weird.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So that's one of the surprises of the season. The Stars are also a surprise of the season. But let's talk about a couple of surprises in the bad aspect. And there's just a couple teams I want to mention, and some of them have already been mentioned. Eric over here. How about the Wild giving up a touchdown a night? It hasn't been the power play. Their power play is clicking at 42% from what I saw. 42%. That's insane. But their penalty kill is in the mid 60s. Fleury is doing really bad.
Flailing.
Yeah, literally.
Fleury is flailing.
So what's going on in Minnesota, guys? Is this something that they should be concerned about, or you think this will turn around?
I mean, I think it's Minnesota, and I think they've never had a defense, and Fleury finally isn't bailing them out, or whoever their goalie is isn't bailing them out, and this is kind of what happens. We'll see if they can find a defense, but none of their players like to play defense.
Yeah, I mean, last year, even in the games that we were playing against them, we were scoring 5 and 7 goals against them, and we scored no goals last year. So
that's a good point. Another team I wanted to mention was the Vancouver Canucks. A lot of people, including myself, expected the Vancouver Canucks to kind of push for a playoff spot this year. Maybe be that wild card in the Pacific Division. But they have like tremendously sucked. Like they've started so well, and they've had many leads in multiple games, and they've blown every single lead they've had.
Yeah.
And honestly, with the fact that they're getting those leads, the second they figure out how to hold on to them, they're gonna start racking up points again. I mean, honestly, I am not too concerned for this team yet. I know they've lost 4 straight games where they had a 2-goal lead in every single one. Like, that's absurd. That's probably never happened and will probably not happen for a very, very long time. But once they're able to figure that out, I feel like they can still fight for a playoff spot.
What do you think, Chris? You agree with that?
They have their leads, and then Bruce there it went.
I see what you did there. That was funny.
Pretty good. That's my only analysis.
That was your only analysis. Who's more likely to turn it around? Let's just say one of them has to miss the playoffs. Who makes the playoffs out of those two teams? Minnesota or
the playoffs?
Okay.
They have too much skill, I think. More skill than the Canucks do. Bruce might turn it around like he did last season. We'll see.
I'm going to say the Canucks, but only because the Canucks have at least gotten good leads, and they haven't been completely blown out in any of their games. So
that is fair.
Another team that has not been doing very well, although it was kind of expected, but I wasn't expecting them to be this bad, is the San Jose Sharks. They are 0-5 at this point already on a 5-game losing streak to start the season. I don't think any of us picked San Jose to make the playoffs, but did y'all expect them to be this bad?
I kind of did, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I personally did not because they've still got some decent players. They got Thomas Hurdle and Kevin LeBanc, and
I think they've also had a pretty hard schedule to start the year, right?
and that's also true as well. So
The
But-
Preds seem pretty easy.
yeah, and so far the Preds, what are they, 2-3? They won their first 2 against San Jose, and they've lost every game since.
They're 2-2. They haven't played again since we gave them the beat down.
Okay.
Yeah, they have.
Oh, no, they
played
did.
against the Kings.
Yeah,
they lost in the
it
shootout.
overtime.
That's what okay, yeah. And they were winning that game by 3-1 at one point. So
Yeah.
again, another blown lead by another team.
But
so
honestly, that is another good team that they're at least fighting against.
that's true.
Yeah.
2 more, actually, I'll mention 2 more teams that are not really, all that crazy to see them doing really well. Vegas is off to a pretty good start. I think they lost the other night, if I remember correctly. I think so. They're 3-1. There's still a really good start to the season for them.
But
And
Thomas
then,
is playing out of his mind, like I said he might.
Yep, you are.
Who was a genius? Chris is right.
Logan Thompson has been excellent, and there's a really good article about him. I think it was Greg Wyshynski on ESPN, and he talks about how 4 years ago he was literally sitting in his, in his room, and he's playing video games, eating pizza, and then now 4 years later he's the starting goaltender for the Vegas Golden Knights. So that's a pretty cool story. Go and read it; it's very interesting.
And honestly, for the Knights, there that could get troublesome if you're playing him too much. I mean, he's not going to be able to play 50 games, I don't think, at that pace.
They're just trying to survive.
I think he can do 50. He's not going to be able to do 60 or 65, but 50 I think he could do.
We'll see.
We'll see. Chris, your Carolina Hurricanes are doing fantastic.
They are
completely out of the blue,
as they should be.
Out
of the blue.
I'm being sarcastic. I'm being sarcastic, Chris. Okay, look at the name at the top left corner of the screen. Okay,
I'm not my boys like that.
The last team I want to mention tonight, that is a very big surprise for me, is the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins have actually been doing really, really, really well. And that's considering they don't have 2 of their top 4 defensemen. They don't have Matt Grzelcyk. They don't have Charlie McAvoy. And they also don't have Brad Marchand to start the year. And David Krejci comes in and looks like a beast. It looks like he hasn't missed a step since he left for Europe and came back. And that team, I think they're still 3-0. I can't remember if they lost recently.
They're 3-1.
They're 3-1. So, but still, the fact that they've come out like that and with a super strong start is really important for that team. So
it's good.
My prediction of them missing the playoffs may be wrong. I could be completely wrong in this.
We'll see. They're right now. They're just outscoring their problems, I feel like, and that can flip very quickly if even one player that's scoring like that gets cold. But
we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's so much we could unpack there, but we don't have the time for that. I do want to mention this because I think this is really important. It's for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I only want to mention this because we're playing them on Thursday. Who brought it up? Dadgummit.
They're out of goalies.
Yeah, they're out of goalies. Oh, yeah.
They don't have
Eric again. Okay, Murray is out. Not sure that is a loss.
No.
Probably not.
You know what? At first I was
Samsonov has played better in Toronto. He's obviously been the better goaltender of the 2.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And but Shalgren started the other night and did not look very good. So that's still an area of concern for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And Murray's out for.
We could have guessed that Toronto would have goalie problems this year,
or goalie injury problems, right?
You know, the stupider thing is that Samsonov actually has decent stats right now. I mean, he's only played 2 games, but he has a 9.26, so that's not awful.
That's really good. That's really good. But we'll see the Toronto Maple Leafs tomorrow night. We'll see them take on the Stars in Toronto, so that'll be really interesting.
Let's go.
It's going to be a hard game too because they just came off losing to the team that plays in the college stadium.
The team that shall not be named.
They don't get their name anymore. They play in the college
free
stadium.
ads.
No,
Well,
no free
well,
outs.
here's the funny thing is when you look at their wins and you look at their losses, it's completely different. It makes no sense. They've lost to Montreal
completely
and
two-faced.
Arizona. It makes no sense. Absolutely. So I don't know. I think they'll figure it out. They always
You know
seem to
what's
do.
crazy? I think there was some stat that was going around that the Coyotes haven't lost in Toronto since like 2002.
They haven't
Or
lost
something
in
like that.
regulation.
Regulation, yeah.
Oh,
2002 in Toronto.
that's so much better.
Not really.
The team that has been like the worst team for the past however long, like
For a
most
while.
consistently bad team, at least.
Well, you could argue Buffalo's in there too.
Yeah, I would agree.
They haven't
Yeah.
they haven't made the playoffs in a decade. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. So,
All right, let's talk about the Stars.
yeah, that's what I was gonna go to. Chris, what do you
Well-
want to talk about first? I'll let you pick.
I don't remember the outline.
Can we talk about
we
one
could talk-
other thing around the NHL?
Fine.
Sure,
James.
James.
I want to
fine.
just mention the scoring because I actually went and I counted like I went and looked at the scores of other games and everything. You know, normally we see NHL scoring as like you get 3 goals and you win, right? That used to be the thing, right?
That
Right.
used to be the thing.
That used to be the thing. Well, there have been 57 games that have been played this year so far, and 44 of them, the winner has had 4 or more goals.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
an interesting stat.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. 4 goals is the new 3, as Ryan told me the other night.
Very
4
cool.
is the new 3.
Thank you, Mr. Statistician, sir.
That's all I wanted to mention.
Back to the Stars. We're the best. We're gonna win the President's Cup. We're gonna win the Stanley Cup. We're
Just
gonna
give
win
us the
that
Stanley Cup
bowl
right now.
thing,
Yeah.
That bowl thing. Yeah. So all of the so we didn't want to get too excited before the season started. The season started. We've won 3 games. I am way too excited now.
We have to actually beat some really good teams first, Chris. We have to beat Colorado,
Starts
Carolina.
tomorrow. We're about to shut up. We're about to beat them 4-1 again.
Okay, but we're probably gonna see Samsonov in goal. It's not like we're facing up against
Yeah, but we
Andrei
get
Vasilevsky.
Ottinger in goal, so it's
And
okay.
he's been the best goalie in the league.
Okay, all right. Let's just take that segue right there. Start there. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring up his stats here real quick while I bring him up. Someone talk about Otter and how amazing
Just
he
a
is.
hint, his stats are dirty. They're disgusting.
Crazy.
And meanwhile, let's put these stats into perspective too. What was Otter's biggest save in the past 3 games? Couldn't tell you, honestly. They've looked easy. It was like so easy for him, and he's allowed how many goals? 3 goals in 3 games, and he's done it super easily. Had no problems. He just looks comfortable, confident. Have you seen his stash? It's ridiculous. He looks so hot.
It's getting good. It's getting good.
You got the stats for us, Ryan?
All right, so here's the stats for you. Okay. He currently is tied for the league average in goals against average with 1.
1 goal.
Not
Against average.
1.33, not 1.89, 1. And when you look at the save percentage, he is 3rd in the league at 966. But he has played 3 games, and he is behind Craig Anderson with a 972, who has played 1 game, and Alex Stalock with a 973, who has played 1 game. So I would say he's the top goalie in the league right now.
For all intents and purposes, he is.
For all intents and purposes, yes. And he also is tied for 1st in the league with 3 wins. So mic drop right there.
Best goalie in the league right now.
He
looks exactly like he did in the Flame series, and actually, statistically, he's playing better.
Yeah, I know.
It's scary. It's scary how confident he is there. He just looks like he's there just to like have fun. Like literally, he's just there like just like
it's like it's a beer league Saturday game.
Yeah, and he's just chilling and just knocking everything away. It's insane.
He's just like the free agent that everybody wants, and he's not too confident. He's not too cocky about it. You know, he just knows he's good.
I do want to go back to what you said, Chris, because that's interesting that you said that, because I can't think of anything. He's made some good saves. He has made some pretty good saves, but nothing like we saw in the Calgary series. So the fact that we have that guy back there who has that potential to make those kind of saves, plus the system that we're playing right now, And the fact that he's not being required to make some gigantic, enormous saves is extremely, extremely exciting to me.
Plus his size and his excellent positioning. I mean, that's really what modern goaltending is it's be big, check, got that one done. That one's easy. And then the other one's positioning. And he's always in the right position. I haven't seen him out of position one time at all since the season started. So it's excellent. He's like the ideal modern day NHL goaltender. And we are so lucky to have him. And I can't believe that he's getting paid so little.
Yeah, seriously. What was it again?
3.5.
Yeah, $3,500.
Yeah, something like that. It's a low number. He's underpaid.
Yes, he is. At least right now, he is definitely underpaid according to his stats. The other thing we need to mention about Jake Ottinger is he was given the honor of being the NHL's third star of the week, which we very briefly mentioned in one of our after game reviews. But Chris, you need to mention the other two players that he was in there along with.
Star number 2, Connor McDavid, the best player in the past 10 years. Star number 1, Sidney Crosby, the best player of the 10 years before McDavid's. So that's two pretty crazy people to be up with when this is his first season starting. I mean, it's his first season being the number 1 goalie, and he is already starting it off with a bang. 3 straight wins. Unbelievable. Lots of saves. He's been fantastic. And I just love him to bits. And we didn't talk about him enough in the AGR, so we're going to talk about him a lot.
And hopefully we never have to see him make those gargantuan saves like we did when we saw him play against Calgary in the playoff series. But, if he's required to make those saves, he's back there, and he's proven that he can. So
also, those otter masks that we've seen in the stadium are hilarious.
I love them. Yes. Agreed.
They are so funny. They're terrifying.
All right. Let's move on from Otter because he has been good, but someone that I want to really mention is a newcomer to the Dallas Stars, Mr. Mason Marchment. Just right off the bat showing that he's worth the $4.5 million that the Stars gave him. And we very briefly discussed it in episodes past that, he might be overpaid at that $4.5 million. But right now, Chris, James, he doesn't look like he's being overpaid with the numbers he's putting up right now.
He's probably underpaid at this point.
Yeah, he's our highest scorer right now.
He is
James,
literally leading the Stars.
Yeah,
he is leading the Stars.
He has 5 points, 3 goals, 2 assists.
Fantastic.
It's been excellent watching him. And the other thing is that he has got a edge of Jamie Benn like Jamie Benn did, 5-7 years ago, right? He's got that, maybe not as beast mode as Ben used to be, but he's got that edge to him that, like Roussel had and Steve Ott and Radulov to a certain extent. But this guy can put the puck in the net, and he's got some dangliness to him, right? That first game, that first goal, that was him. Holy crap.
And he has all that, and then he plays like a fourth liner on the boards, which is something that I love. Like, he scraps for every puck. I haven't seen him lose a puck battle yet. He's been great along the boards as well.
Something
he looks
else
like a coach's ideal player.
And something else I've really noticed about him too is that whoever he plays with, it seems like he makes that player better. Whether he's playing with Sagan, whether he's playing with Robe Hintz, in the preseason like he did, whoever he's playing with, it seems to be like he's making that player better, including Gary Onoff. I'll throw Gary Onoff in there too.
Agreed.
So, James, what do you think of Marchment and how he's been doing this past week?
Yeah, he's crazy good from the games that we've seen him. We were worried about him before, definitely not worried about him now. So,
nope.
So moving on from Mason Marchment and how good he's been, we need to talk a little bit about Wyatt Johnston. So Wyatt Johnston coming in, he's the 19-year-old rookie living with Joe Pavelski, which is weird because he's literally half of Joe Pavelski's age, and they're on the same team. That just shows you how good Joe Pavelski is.
It's Pavs and Sons.
Pavs and Sons, yeah. If only he was on a line with him. Yeah. So, anyways,
adding to the cult.
Yes, exactly. With Wyatt Johnston, we have to talk about the elephant in the room with his case, and we need it. It's unfortunate that we have to talk about it, but Is he going to be staying at the NHL level, or is he going to be going back to the OHL? So for those of you that don't understand how the rules work with the CBA and the NHL's negotiations with the Canadian junior leagues, they have to be a certain age in order to be eligible to be put in the AHL. And Wyatt Johnston is not eligible to play in the NHL. So, and they have to decide in 9 games whether he's going to stay for the year. Because if he gets to that 10th game and he plays in his 10th game, he uses one of the 3 years on his entry-level contract. So he's got 6 more games. My question to you guys is, like I said, is he going to be staying, or is he going to be going back to the OHL? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough question because that year of entry level contract, that's invaluable to a team. I mean, you're playing for almost free, is what it feels like in comparison to the cap. So the problem is he's been playing very well, especially for a third line center role. He's been a great third line center. But what we're expecting from him is not third line center. He's supposed to be first or second line center, scoring lots of points, being a good two-way guy as well. And for the price of an entry-level contract, I just don't think he's quite up to speed there yet. I think on pucks, he's a little bit weaker than he needs to be, which I think another year of aging and playing will help with that. And just a little bit more confidence too. And I don't know. And entry-level contracts are invaluable. So it'll take a lot, I think, to keep him there. And we'll see it'll tell us a lot if he stays or not of how Jim Nill perceives the season. If we have to win now and he's the better guy, no matter what he's playing him, that'll say a lot.
Yeah. And I'm going to take that confidence thing and really push that a little bit more, because that's really seemed that's been the biggest deal while he's on this third line. He really is probably the most skilled player on that line right now. I mean, Gurionov is fast, but he can't move his hands the way that we used to see at first. He's a little slow on that. And Ben is just too slow to be able to get to anything now, it feels like. So I mean, he really is. He's supposed to be the center of that line.
You get on an ice with him, James.
Not the
you get on
center.
the ice with him. Come on.
I can't even skate, so I'm not even gonna go there. But he needs to carry the puck more. I mean, there is one specific example in the second Predators game that I was like screaming at him for. Like it was a 2-on-1 and he had Gurionov on the other side, but the defenseman took Gurionov out and they left him with lots of space open in front. And instead of him just skating up the ice and trying to throw it on net and maybe get a rebound, maybe try to score it, he tried to pass to Gurry.
Yeah.
And the defender broke it up because Gurionov was covered completely. Like that shows me that that's a confidence thing, and that's not just a dumb mistake. I feel like it's like you're on a 2-on-1 and you're like, oh, that's Dennis Gurionov. He's been in the league for 3-4 years now. He'll be better than me. Like, I don't know. I really think that for him to stay in the league, he'll have to start scoring more. And I think part of that is going to depend on Gurionov and Ben, who both have not looked great, honestly.
I think Ben's look really good, in my opinion. Like I said, you can do what you think, Chris, but I really think he's been good. He is a third line guy now. Yes, he's way overpaid for being a third line player. But we talked about coming into the season that his expectation was to be on that third line, at least for me, and to be a really good third liner. And I think he's been that. He's not been asked to be a top 6 forward. He's not been asked to score a bunch of goals. I've seen the physicality from him a little bit, but I'm getting off on a tangent a little bit. Let me get back to Wyatt Johnston. Sorry. He's going to stay in the squad and he's going to be on the Stars for the whole season. Here's my reasoning behind it. All right. There's a couple of reasons. First off, my thought was if he does go back to the OHL, who is going to take his place? Because they're not going to put Ben in that center role because they've already talked about
the Peterson in there, I think, right?
See, I don't know.
You throw Peterson there. That's exactly where Peterson fits. That's why Peterson isn't in the lineup right now, I feel. And that's why he's getting healthy scratched. That's Peterson's spot if Wyatt is sent back to the OHL. Like 100%.
Agree.
It's not, it's not my only reasoning for it either. Is Zach over there on Twitch? Shut up, Zach. You don't know anything. Okay. But he, I just don't see, because what I would put in there is probably Fox or Glendening, and I don't want either one of those guys playing on that third line.
No.
Then that's what I think they would look at putting. I don't think they'd be looking to
I
put
don't think they
Peterson
would.
in that third line.
I don't think you put Peterson on a fourth line, though, that already looks great, physical and forechecking. I mean, Peterson, in my opinion, fits really well in that third line with Ben and Gurionov as the wingers.
Because he's got this, he can score, which is what we need from that third line, which is why you're wrong about Ben and Gurionov, because they need to score. They do.
No, and I'm not saying they should, but their expectation is not that they should be the ones taking over for the scoring. That's my only thing.
But the problem is we expect Ben to kind of get back to at least 40, 45 points, right? I mean, he's on the third line now. It's going to be a lot harder to get there. Yeah, he had 50. Well, he had 49, I think. But we're expecting to still have that production from Ben, and we're expecting Gurionov to get in the same kind of range too. So, I mean, if they're not scoring together, I mean, you put Wyatt Johnston back in the OHL, let him develop another year. Don't send him on a third line with Ben and Gurionov if they're not going to be scoring. It's not going to help him. Well, that's mostly where I'm coming from.
Okay, well, here's my other thought, and this is my second reasoning behind this. And I don't know what happened to Chris, but he'll be back, I'm sure, in a second. But my second reasoning behind all of this is, what else does he have to do in the OHL? I mean, is he really going to develop playing against other junior age kids? Because I don't think he has. I disagree, because I don't see him I don't think there's anything else left for him to accomplish.
But I think the bigger problem is that, like, we're burning an extra year on his contract. Like, that is a big difference when you're talking about cap hits and stuff. We're going to be burning an extra year that we probably don't even need him this year, honestly. Like, he's been outstanding, and I'll agree with you there. His defense looks amazing. I think he's been back every single time.
That was my third reasoning, is he does not look out of place with this team.
But I don't think Peterson would look out of place either, is the problem. And if you can have Peterson be the third line center, and you hold Wyatt Johnston for another year, and you try to get him into a higher spot on the lineup, like, that's really what we want from him. We want him to be one of those. We want him to be a dynamic player that changes the franchise. That's why we have all three of the different prospects that we have, honestly, in my opinion. They all look amazing, and we're looking for those to be the next wave of star talent on this team.
Yeah, behind Rope, Henson, Robo, when Rope and Robo are the Sagan and Ben, you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
But I just don't see. He scored 128 points last season, James, in like 50-something games. I just don't see what else there is for that guy to accomplish in the OHL. I really just don't
think it's time for him to come into the league. For our team personally right now, I feel like Peterson can fulfill that third line and do just as good. I mean, if Ben and Gurionov start going off in the next couple of games with Wyatt Johnston and they start scoring, then I feel like, yeah, he probably plays the whole season. But if we stay at this and that third line only scores 1 or 2 more goals by that 9th game, I don't see. I can't. In my opinion, I can't justify him staying in the lineup over Peterson.
Well, do you think he could do a better job than Peterson? Like, let's think the whole length of the season. Is he going to be a better option than Jacob Peterson?
Overall, probably, but I don't know that it's going to be enough that having either one of them in that spot's going to change anything.
Chris is back. What happened?
My Wi-Fi went down.
Nice.
That's not good for how big this complex is, but whatever. What are we talking about?
We're still on Wyatt Johnston. James is telling me I'm wrong. I'm not changing my mind. Chris, you still
Good
think
job,
he's gonna be
James.
sent down?
I agree with James.
We both had opinions, and Chris can listen to it later.
Well, and I think the good thing is that this is a good argument that we're having, right? It's a great argument that we're having.
I'd
because
rather
it
not
means
have the
Stars
argument and Johnston have 4 goals and it'd be like, oh yeah, he's great.
Well,
That'd be a
yeah,
little bit
but
better.
yeah, no, I agree. That's fair. But the fact that we are having this argument means the Stars have a lot of depth. Because I mean, even behind Peterson, you still got Damiani who can come up and play. You've still got all these other guys down in the minors who can still come up and play for the Stars. So
Yeah, I'm comfortable with a lot of guys.
Yeah, we got to move on from this because we talked a lot about it. But ultimate prediction: Chris and James says that he does get sent back to the OHL. I say that he stays. And I think there's logic for both ways, honestly. I could see it happening either way, but I think he stays. Okay, let's talk about a little bit of this question that was kind of running around Twitter a little bit, and it was in my head a lot the past couple of days. But the 3 games that we've played against Nashville and Winnipeg, right? So the 2 fringe playoff teams, I could see both of those teams making the playoffs. The question that came into my mind and a lot of Stars fans' mind are we really this good, or have we played teams that have just played terrible against us? And I have some thoughts, but nothing really to back it up with. What would y'all's answer be to that question?
Definitely a fair question. I think both of these teams have lots of issues. I don't think either of these teams is going to make the playoffs personally, even though lots of people do have at least one of these teams make the playoffs. I think Thursday is going to be a really good test because that's going to be an offensive juggernaut. We'll see, is all of our defense from the past 3 years gone? Do we have some of it? Is Ottinger really that good? That's why I'm really excited for tomorrow's game.
Yeah. And I feel like the point that people are saying they've had bad games against us is kind of mute, because the whole point of our style is that we're trying to force mistakes on them, and that's what we're seeing in those games. They're not making dumb mistakes and giving the puck away. We are forcing those mistakes and taking them.
Yeah, with a great forecheck.
Yeah.
And when we're able to gather the puck in our own zone, it's a quick breakout. It's the other way. It goes rush the other way. And then we find a way to score and take advantage of that. And that's how the DeBoer system works, honestly.
And I do think we are to a little bit of a crazy hot start, because, I mean, we've beat the teams by at least 3 goals in all the games. That shouldn't be expected, but
that's
not going to
the other proof
happening.
that we're a good team too, because we're not just beating them, we're dominating them. We won 9 periods. We didn't let them have 1 period against us, so we're definitely very good. We'll see how good we are tomorrow.
All right, so here's logic right here. Okay, so we beat the Jets 5-1, right? Or was it 4-1?
4-1.
4-1. And the Jets beat the Avalanche tonight in overtime 4-3. So therefore, we are the Stanley Cup champions. We are the Stanley Cup champions. Okay,
that's even better. Yeah, they should give it to us.
Complete logic. So I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. To be completely honest, because Nashville looked flat out terrible. They did in both games. They were turning the puck over left and right. Part of it was the way that we were forechecking, but part of it is they were just gift wrapping, opportunities for us. And I do want to point out something I saw in the comment section over here. I think it was Ardell. Yeah, Ardell, that's a very good point. UC Saros is good, so don't cheat our goals scored. Yes, I 100% agree with you. UC Saros is one of the best goalies in the league, and he's also the shortest. But still, the way that both of those teams played against us, I don't think that was their A game. And on the flip side, I think the Stars were on top of their game. So, and what was funny and what's even more exciting and intriguing to me is that Pete DeBoer came out and said there's still a lot of mistakes and a lot of things we need to work on. And I'm like looking at the score sheet with a +10 goal differential, and I'm like, what went wrong? Yeah. So,
and to be fair, there are a lot of people who are much smarter in hockey X's and O's than we are that have said there are actually a few mistakes that are pretty obvious to see that to the untrained eye, such as ours, we are not seeing. But it is tough to see how this could get better.
Mm-hmm. And, I honestly can't look at and figure out what can get better right now. So I'm just happy with the way that things are going right now. Okay, we got one more thing that I want to talk about real quick, and then we'll get into our Who Cares segment, our first Who Cares segment of the 2022-2023 season. Words are hard for me tonight. I fumbled over my words a lot today. So
That's okay.
anyway,
we still love you.
Yeah, I know. I love you too. Mwah. James, no one likes you.
Thank you.
The line combos are working out pretty well for the Stars in both the offensive lines and the D pairings. Out of all the lines, obviously we expected the first line to do pretty well, and they have. But what I really wanted to point out is we saw that line take over games a lot last year, so that was to be expected. But in the last game we just played against the Winnipeg Jets, that first line wasn't fully clicking. They weren't fully there. They were still playing really well, but it was that second line, Sagan's line, who really kind of took over the game and changed the momentum for the Stars and really allowed the Stars to take over that game. So that's something that we have been missing for a couple of years now with Sagan and Ben, especially with their offensive dropping off like it has. So if that can continue, that second line being able to do that, then that can go a long way in order for the Stars to have two number one scoring lines, I think.
And I think it has to continue. And I think it's going to get better. I mean, Sagan has to get better. I mean, I think that's for sure going to happen. He has lots of assists already.
Played better.
He has played better.
Very
He's going to score
points.
He's going to score. Delandria, I think, is on the upswing. James is the only one who disagrees with us there. You're not allowed to talk about
it. There's one. Okay. I think he looks good, but I did not think he played good in the Jets game. He got beat a lot in puck battles, and he was getting beat all over the ice. He's fast. He makes plays. He's little, though.
And I think James is wrong. And Delandria's going to get going, too, eventually. Delandria is going to score a few goals. He's going to have a record-high season. The second line is legit. What I'm more intrigued about in the long term and in the playoff push for us is that Ben and Gurianov can get going. If they can get going, that's kind of the dark horse there. If you can get them scoring along with the top two lines, you're the best team in the league. So, not likely to happen, but we will see.
The team that keeps popping into my head is the St. Louis Blues, and here's the reason why. And because the way the St. Louis Blues play, there are some differences, but the style they play is fairly similar to the way the Stars want to do. All right. And the thing that I keep going back to is it was insane last year. They had 9 20-goal scorers. 9. And the way they were able to do that is they were able to spread out the offense across the top 3 lines. And I think that's something that the Stars are looking at. They're looking at the St. Louis Blues model and how well they've played. And I think that they could get there. And especially if we can get Gurianov going. I think Gurianov, if he doesn't score 20 goals this season, that's a miss. That's not good. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Ben. If he can't get to 40 to 50 points this season, I think that's a miss for him. Wyatt Johnston could, score 5 goals and I would be happy with his season. But sorry, I'm being a little biased here, but if both of those guys get going and Johnston is here to stay for the season, then obviously his point totals are going to go up as well if they're scoring 35 goals between Ben and Gurianov.
And I would say you're not being biased because you're expecting the people who have been in the league for multiple years to score like they've been in the league for multiple years.
And who are getting paid multiples of millions of dollars. Yeah. That's not bias. That's called business.
And just to point out the fourth line's looked really good too. I mean,
I like the fourth line.
Every time they play against another team's fourth line, they're way better.
Agreed.
It's giving me flashbacks of the FCC line that we had. They forecheck hard and they make turnovers to get the points there.
This line can score though. I mean, Kiviranta has dangerous offensively. I guess Fox and Glendening haven't, but I liked Kiviranta.
But that's not really why they're on the team. That's not really why they're on the team.
You know what I did see Foxa do the other night though? He tried that wraparound, which he used to try all the time. Y'all remember that? That used to be 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. He scored 3 in one season. It was so him trying that again is telling me that he is looking for offense, and that's really nice to see, honestly.
There was one more thing I wanted to add before we went to Who Cares. And that was the surprising D pairing combination of Heiskanen and Miller.
Which we did. I don't think
We
any
did
of us
not see
predicted.
that coming.
I said that it would be good.
Yeah, it would be good.
You did see it. You did
it has
say
not
that.
just been good. It's been pretty freaking good.
It's been scary.
Miller has played very well with Heiskanen. I mean, really protecting him, and even showed some offense in one of the games. I don't remember which one exactly.
Yeah,
but
he took that big slap shot from the point.
Yep, skating up in the zone, taking free ice. He's looked great. I don't remember who said it, but he mentioned coming from his old team, he feels like he has something to prove. He feels like he needs to prove that he's a top 4 guy and not a 7th, 6th defenseman on the bubble guy. And he's doing great so far. He's not playing as much as Heiskanen. Heiskanen is definitely bouncing around to other D-men whenever he just needs to be on the ice, which we obviously thought would happen. That's what happens with Norris level defensemen. But Miller has been great, especially to start games with Heiskanen.
And I really think the main reason why he looks really good with Heiskanen is because his speed is keeping him up with Heiskanen all the time. It doesn't matter where Heiskanen goes. Miller can skate just as fast to get the spot that he needs to be.
And that surprised me. I did not know Miller was that fast as a defenseman. He's very quick.
And he looks like a steal right now at $1.5 million, and he's playing on the top pairing.
Looks like the steal.
So, and I want to mention the other pairings because all 6 defensemen have looked very good. They've all looked. There hasn't been one that's been like, oh, he's really sucked. He's been really out of it or anything like that. All 6 of them have looked good. My one probably it's not even really that big of a deal, but I just wish Hakanpää would take less penalties. That's my only thing. That's my only take.
Literally great, and you need an angsty defenseman like that too.
Yes.
He's been throwing the body around. He's been dangerous. Anytime the other team steps on the ice when Hakanpää's on the ice, you are looking over your shoulder, bracing for a hit every single time. Because man, he is throwing the body around, and that's what we need on this team too. We need some meat. And that's what Hakanpää is. He's a meat.
And like I said, I'm not putting down Hakanpää at all. So don't go out on social media and say, "Oh, Ryan's saying that Hakanpää sucks." No, just being super picky. I'm just being super picky because that's the one thing I could think of that would be negative about this top 6, and that's it. That's all I can think of.
I think Hakanpää should be our penalty minute leader. By the way, if he leaves penalty minutes on our team, I'm good with that.
Or Ben. I'd love to see Ben leading in penalty minutes.
He won't
but
get
that's
enough
just me.
time on ice to get that.
All right, that's a perfect segue. I want to get into this. Is the time on ice, and I was really interested to see this because I talked with James about this after the after game review on Monday, and when you look at the time on ice, it is very, very different than what Rick Bowness would do. Rick Bowness like heavily relied on that top 4, and when I say the top 4, I'm talking about the defensive pairings. But there is not a single guy who played less than 10 minutes in the game against Winnipeg, which is excellent. That's absolutely excellent because that means that you're able to evenly distribute the minutes, and that means he trusts all 4 lines to be able to go out and do the job that he's asking them to do. And that also allows guys like the top 6 who we really need offense from to kind of catch their breath a little bit more and use more of their energy. And then that way they're able to, put their energy where we need it, which is goal scoring. So I think it's excellent. The only 2 guys that are above 20 minutes is Miro Heiskanen, and I think a lot of people will be really surprised about the other one. I think James already knows. Chris, if you had to guess, who do you think it would be?
Ryan Suter.
Ryan Suter had 22 minutes and 36 seconds. So
he's a minute eater.
I think our podcast altogether will make all of the fans very angry by saying we think Suter is fine.
Okay,
it's kind of sad. That's a dangerous statement.
He is fine. He is not elite. Okay,
I'm tired of seeing him.
I know.
There is one thing. I saw him on the power play a couple of times. I don't want to see him on the power play.
Right.
I'd rather have Lindell and Lundqvist and Heiskanen.
Yes.
But here's my thing. Here's my thing about that though is if we have a lot of injuries and let's say Miro Heiskanen is out and Lundqvist is out for some reason, you still have Ryan Suter who is a capable defenseman to be back there in order to quarterback the power play. I'm not saying he's fantastic, but he is capable and he is a fill-in. He can totally do the
He
job.
at least knows what he's doing.
Yeah. But
Yes.
but Suter is good because he's eating up all those minutes, second most minutes on the team.
Mhm.
And have you noticed him this year?
Nope.
Has anybody
No,
noticed?
and that's a good thing.
No,
that's a good
that's
thing.
great. For what he's doing, not noticing Suter is good. He is supposed to be a defensive guy now. He doesn't have the legs to be the offensive 12-year, $8 million contract guy like he was. He's going to stay home, be a solid guy, make the right play every time. And for the most part, he is doing that. And he's eating up a ton of minutes and saving our young defensemen from having to play in terrible situations. So,
and he's saving
a
Miller
good
from
defenseman.
having to play that much too. So
yeah.
The last thing I want to mention about Suter is his contract. Yes, he has a pretty bad contract, just considering what he's got. It was for 4 years. It was for a little over $3.5 million or something like that, around there. And yes, it was a no trade clause. But what a lot of people have to understand about this sort of things is it's not like you have negotiating rights like an RFA over him. You don't have power over him. You have to be willing to give him some things and entice him to come and play for your team. That's the whole point of being an unrestricted free agent. And do you overpay for unrestricted free agents? Yes. Exhibit B, Mason Marchment. We had to overpay for what a lot of people thought he was going to get in order for him to come and play for the Dallas Stars, right? Because I was thinking like 2.5 or 3, and he got 4.5 from the Stars.
Yeah.
So
But
yes, I think the thing that's killing a lot of people is the no trade clause.
But
or
if
the
we'll
no
talk
move clause.
contracts too, $3.5 million a year, and he's over 20 minutes every game, that is way worth it. That is a good deal. So his contract is only bad because it takes him until he's 40. That's the only bad thing. The AAV is not bad at all. So be happy now that he's playing good enough that we can play him for over 20 minutes a game and only pay him $3 million. It's good. He's playing good defensively. And I'll be the first one to come after him when he stops doing it, because that's the only upside he has. He has no offensive upside anymore. He shouldn't be on the power play. But right now he's playing good defensively, and you have to give him credit for that and stop crapping all over him every single time there's a post, even kind of.
Right. And if you want more info on the whole Suter argument, go and read Bruce Levine's article with Dallas Hockey Now, I think is what it's called. It's a really good article. Go and read it. He makes a very logical argument for Ryan Suter. So, okay, enough with Ryan Suter. Let's move on. Let's get into our Who Cares segment for the evening. First one of the season. Chris, this was partially your idea, so I will allow you to introduce it.
We are doing top 3 conspiracy theories. And this is personal favorites of ours. So if you get triggered by conspiracy theories or stupidity, you can click off now. All right, James, give us your number 3 most favorite conspiracy theory.
My number 3 most favorite conspiracy theory is that there are aliens at Area 51. Because the fact that they got a Facebook raid to get people together and just join a Facebook group, all saying that they were going to storm Area 51, is absolutely hilarious.
Dang it, James! That was literally my number 3. Dadgummit. I don't know what else to add. I don't know what else to add to that, because I don't know. It's been one of my favorite conspiracy theories for a long time. My other 2 are more interesting. Chris, go ahead. Number 3.
All right, number 3. We're going with another classic, the JFK assassination. All right, everybody, let's be real. The Russians did it. That's what happened. There's no way this one random guy did it. And oh, wow, he got killed. That's so weird. Oh, and there was a guy holding an umbrella for some reason on the road too, and that's just a coincidence, and all the people hear different shots is a coincidence. This is one conspiracy theory I fully and truly believe, and I'll take it to my grave. The Russians did it. He was too much of a man for them, and they were scared. The Russians did it. James, number 2 conspiracy theory.
He's got it looks like he's got like a couple over there on his side screen.
I'm looking at a couple. I had to remind myself of what all of them were. Because there's a lot of just dumb ones that my friends have come up with. Like, for example, the sky is just a projection that the government puts out.
Is that number 2?
That is going to be my number 2. The sky is merely a projection. We are all living in like just a big giant building, and the government just projects the stars and the clouds. And when it rains, it's just sprinklers.
Okay, when you say that, I'm thinking like the Hunger Games dome kind of thing. Is that what they think?
Ryan.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Okay.
Go look at the stars. There's no way that's real. That's
No
fake. You tell me that's balls of gas, millions of light years away? Garbage.
Stop lying.
Pumbaa, you're an idiot.
Lies.
Pumbaa, you're an idiot.
Pumbaa is an idiot.
Yes,
all right, Ryan,
is.
number 2 favorite conspiracy theory.
Okay, number 2, I'm going with the JFK assassination as well, but I'm going in a specific part of the JFK assassination. Okay, I think my favorite one that I've heard is that JFK was actually never the intended target. The intended target was actually the person sitting next to him, which happened to be the Texas governor at the time. And the Texas governor was actually the original target of the assassination. So that's and I'm not going to
try to assassinate the Texas governor instead of him.
It would take too long to explain. It's there's a lot, and we would be here for another 30 minutes. So if you want to go look it up, and you can see that there's a lot of interesting information about that actually makes some sense.
I've got another very serious conspiracy theory, just like Ryan's, and my number.
So it's not going to be
my number 2 conspiracy theory is that birds are not real.
Yes,
they're not real.
I knew you were going to do that for some reason.
They are cameras that the government uses to monitor us.
Exactly.
That's garbage. Birds migrate. Birds just migrate every year. How convenient. How convenient the birds just all disappear at the same time so the government can come juice them up again for the next season and then send them back out into the public. How convenient. Birds aren't real. James,
birds aren't real.
Your number first conspiracy theory.
My number first conspiracy theory is that the world is flat. Okay. Hear me out.
You're a flat earther.
So how do you explain all the ships that just disappear? Right? How do you explain it? It's because they drove off the edge, man. They drove off the edge.
They throw them. Who's they?
Conspiracy 1A. but also for real, it's just hilarious how they had I don't know if it was real or not, but they had a whole experiment that the flat earthers did where they proved that the earth was
I
round.
did see that. Yes,
and all they said was
hilarious. That is my number first.
Pretty great. All right, Ryan, your number first favorite conspiracy theory of all time.
And this is an obvious one because it's the most popular one on the internet. Everyone likes to talk about it. The moon landing never happened. The moon landing never happened, and they just wanted to do it before 1970 because Mr. What's-His-Face said that they were going to be going to the moon during the 60s, and it wasn't going to be in the 70s. So that's my favorite conspiracy theory.
We just talked about the guy, and you forgot his name. All right.
I didn't forget his name. I just didn't want to mention his name.
This is the real best conspiracy theory. I'm not sure if y'all have actually even heard of this. So if y'all are out there and y'all are still listening for some reason, listen up. Mattress stores are run by the mafia.
I have heard this.
Because nobody goes into mattress stores.
There's so many mattress stores all over the nation.
I've never thought about that.
Farmersville, Texas has its very own mattress store. There's 3,000 people there. There's a big town 15 minutes away. You do not need a mattress store for 3,000 people. What, maybe 100 of them will need a new mattress in a year, maybe. Who knows?
You're lucky.
You need a whole mattress store and they're going to get all that business? No. They're not. What? So how are all these mattress stores still in business? That mattress store, by the way, has been there for like 6 years. I've never seen a one person there. Not a one.
I've never seen a car there.
I've never seen a car there. They're still in business.
Oh man.
So what it really is it's a money laundering scheme by the mafia. So if you want to launder some money, you go to this mattress store, you buy like you're pretending to buy like 500 mattresses, and then they take the money, put it in a washing machine, and they clean it all up for you. They give it back, boom, clean money, and they take a little bit off the top, So that's garbage. There's no way mattress stores is that big of a business. I will never believe it. It's fake. They're run by the mafia. All right, that's the best conspiracy theory.
I gotta be honest, James. I think I have to admit that Chris won this segment.
I won this segment.
I think he really did.
I dominated this.
But the Earth is flat, so
the Earth is flat. I agree, but I didn't put that because that's not a conspiracy theory. That's true.
Oh, he's got you there, James. So maybe you lose.
People call it a conspiracy theory.
Well, people are dumb. They just have them. That's they.
All right, guys, we got to go to sleep because we got lots of stuff going on tomorrow, including the Dallas Stars. James, when is the game against the Toronto Maple Leafs happening?
It's at 6:00 in Toronto. It should be a fun game because they're coming off that 4-2 loss to the college team. So that should be fun. They should be fired up.
The team who must not be named.
Yeah, they should be fired up. That should be a fun game. It should really show how strong of a team we are.
Good test against a good offensive team. We'll see.
I'm really excited because it looks like the reverse retro is going to be released tomorrow.
Yes,
so that's going to be interesting.
The logo has been proved to be the normal Dallas Stars logo from before the rebrand. So unfortunately, there's no Mooterus.
So I was really hoping for a blackout Mooterus.
But lots of cool logos around the league. That was the teaser tonight. They released some of the logos. We got the Empire State Building New York Rangers logo. We got the Gear Oilers logo. We got the Long John Silver Islanders logo. And we got the Screaming Eagle Capitals logo. So many great logos. So many great jerseys. I'm sure we'll talk about it at least a little bit tomorrow.
Yeah, at least for very briefly. We'll mostly save it for Wednesday night. We'll go through our favorite jerseys and we'll rank them and stuff like that. So, all right. Anything else you guys want to mention?
Stars are still on the path for 82-0.
Yep, 82-0, baby. Okay.
Oranger's amazing.
Thank you guys for listening to. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. This has been the first Wednesday night episode of the new season. Please go and check out StarcastStickerMarkShop.com. We got some new merch there. Phase 2 is up there. We'd really appreciate it. And that's the best way for you to support us and what we do here at Starcast Sticker Marks. Yeah, we do have backpacks.
Shower curtains in Phase 3.
I'll have to work on that for shower curtains. I don't know if I can do that, but we'll see. We'll see. And then also, we'd appreciate it if you guys will leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. Click like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube and all that jazz. And along with Chris, along with James, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side. And we hope you have a good, fantastic evening, morning, whenever you're listening. See you guys later.